Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. I realised that it's been over a month since I've done anything. I have been struggling with my mindset and actually motivating myself to come on this channel. I haven't lost the enthusiasm to want to help people, but I have been really struggling to process and motivate myself feelings and emotions that have been going on around me. This is like the fourth attempt at editing this video already, and it gets frustrating because I know what I want to put across. I don't always manage to get the words in the right order. So when you see me looking away from camera, I'm basically looking because I put something together with notes and things like that. I don't like being scripted, but what I'm finding more and more with dealing with things is that I'm struggling to stay on track. Things sort of disappear out of my mindset before I've actually completed them. This is impacting my everyday, and it's also affecting my professional life. So what I've got here is what I wanted to talk about today is masking. And for years I wore the mask, not the literal kind, but the kind that you're when you're trying to survive a world that don't quite understand you, especially when you're intuitive, sensitive, and expected to be strong. Right. Now, this is the words that I put together. So that was scripted because I wanted a start point. Now, my masking comes about as a result of anxiety, nerves, depression, you name it. So my way of handling all of that from being a child and feeling that I was weird or odd or strange or anything like that was I used to put, as I saw it, put on a performance. So tell jokes, do impressions, do silly things to gain attention and probably break up what I believe was the attention that was on me because I was always doing something daft. Now I realise that there's more to it than that. Whereas I've looked back on it as cover for things, it's often helped me in my background in the prison service where people would be drawn away from a serious situation and look at me clowning and messing about, look at me, and then it breaks that tension. However, right now I'm out of that scenario. That doesn't always work. And at the time when you would think that you would most need it, when you're going on stage and you're doing performances in front of people and reading and things like that, it's kind of like lost its edge. It's like the artist, the performer that puts on this performance, the mask, the cover, the character doesn't quite fit right anymore. So I'm having to learn new structures, new ways of dealing with things because the mask is not something I can genuinely hide behind. So when I'm struggling with anything, I always go to people that I can trust with things, ask for their advice and guidance. And the advice and guidance that came back in regards to this was just be yourself. Now, my point is for anybody out here that's watching, right, that's great advice if you know who you are, right? But I'm sure that people that have been in like long-term jobs and long-term roles when they've played a character and played a part for that long, that the lines between the character and the real person are very blurred. Think of it from a neurospicy perspective, that it's not about a character and a separation, it's a coping strategy. So not having anything as reference point to be myself, because I truthfully don't know who that really is, I kind of have to go on there on stage and deliver readings and things like that with the added anxiety and the added nerves and all of the rest of the things that are going on there where my mind might lapse and I might go off on a tangent somewhere because I can no longer hide that away. It's come to the surface. The bereavement that I had in my family triggered something. Right, so you've got your grief to contend with in whatever way you do it, but also you become aware of things that all come to the surface. And I found this really difficult. So I wrote on here as well as a bullet point. in mental health terms, what neurodivergent means to me. And this is one I've really struggled with, because neurodivergence for me, the first time it was put at me, I said, what the F is that supposed to mean? Now it's been explained that you've got people who think, or the majority of people that think in a typical way, right? And then you've got the other side of the coin, where people who think in weird, non-objective ways, things that, you know, you would go down a pathway and it's winding and jump from thing to thing. And I took it really personally, because I'm going, like, I've always associated with being a little bit weird, a little bit off the cuff. Now I realise there's a reason. It's not a bad thing anymore. It's because my brain is wired differently. And no matter how many people keep coming at me and going, oh, you know, you're obsessed with it and things like that. Yes, but I still stick by that I want to help people. So this masking thing has been a character that's been put on so that I don't have to explain myself when I'm having difficulties dealing with the normal, in inverted commas, everyday world. Men have got it quite difficult as well, because the expectation when you come to the surface is man up. I've actually had that said to me when I've opened up to people, man up, right? Get past it. That macho, I'm okay. So this has now become one of my focuses, is dealing with that ancestral male, like, you know, we can't be sensitive, right? I'm a strong guy, but I'm also very sensitive. So I'm in that space where I want to challenge this ancestral male bullshit, because it frustrates the living crap out of me. So in order for me to be myself, as advised, I've had to look at, right, okay, how am I going to be myself? Well, I'm just going to be truth. I'm going to be truth. I'm going to be truthful. I'm going to be telling my side of the story. And you will find in that way that you will attract the right sort of people to you, because the ones that don't understand you, right, will melt away. The ones that do will support you while you find yourself. So it's in the prison system as well. Emotion could be seen as a sign of weakness. But what happens when you feel everything deeply, like I do? Well, in that environment, I wasn't in my true spot, because, as I say, you deal with situations. Yes, you need a degree of empathy to help with people, but showing that consistent, what I saw as a weakness, because coming from a background that a male does certain things and they're the provider and the hunter, the gatherer, there's a lot of information that is imprinted in the brain, and you just press play and keep repeating that cycle. So I decided I don't want to do that anymore. So it's putting my heart on my sleeve. I haven't got a big audience at the moment, and I understand that, but please understand that I keep producing this stuff, that for the one person that stumbles across this and says that they're sensitive, can say that they're struggling, you are not, and I repeat, you are not on your own. The length of time between the last broadcast and this one, I'm actually quite ashamed, because I want to do more, but getting into that and going, right, I'm feeling upset, I'm feeling depressed, I'm feeling anxious and things like that, puts a block. So what I've been doing is going out to the gym and doing my level best to switch off all feelings, purely because I felt like I wasn't functioning properly. So I put on here that my masking impacted my emotional and mental well-being, because it needed to be there to get the job done. You know, 27 years of a mortgage to pay off. Don't matter whether you're not feeling very well or you're feeling emotional or anything like that. Mr. Bank Manager, the outside world don't understand that, right? Maybe the people that are around you that just say, oh, get on with it, get past it, only start to notice when the wheels come off. So it's been one of those things that I am drawing attention to what I'm dealing with, purely because I worked for 27 years with the mask on to pay off my mortgage. I didn't suddenly become something overnight, but what I did become was aware of it. And all of my work is about drawing awareness to what I'm dealing with. The burnout, the confusion, and the experiences with the ADHD traits. What I'm learning now, the hyper focus, the rejection sensitive dysphoria, where you're overly reacting to sensitive issues. Now I'm gaining an awareness of it. I'm now putting that up against what I'm pre-programmed to do about being macho and strong and all of this sort of thing, and just admitted, no, right? I'm not hiding behind anything. I'm not hiding behind that mask. But when you're coming from behind the mask, it often becomes very difficult, because the people that have known you for as long as they've known you know the character. They don't know you. So it's been an interesting journey. The more I masked, the more disconnected I became, not just from others, but from myself. I didn't even know what I really wanted anymore. And to be truthful, that's not about not knowing what I wanted anymore. That is because I've never known what I want. So I put on the performance that I believe that other people want to see from me. And it is not easy. So when my spiritual path came along, the art of performance and standing up there reinforced the mask. I wrote chapters and things on forums about that my everyday self would get me to a venue and get the practical side of life sorted out. And then the mask came on, the character came to the fore, and it enabled me to function. What I didn't tell people was that the anxiety at times, even when you're on stage and you're working with the spiritual side of your life, is still crippling. You know, you get praise and you get criticism in equal measure in what I'm doing. And I get that. I understand that. Right. But when you've got an extreme reaction to any criticism or any negative feedback, it makes it then difficult to fuel getting on the stage the next time. But it's like sometimes having to turn the dial down, because what my brain is telling me is it isn't actually in reality. It's this hyped up version. So this is why I always say to people that when that character's on there, I might seem like I'm very, very confident and all put together and all of the rest of it. But it's like that old analogy of the swan. The swan is gliding along on the surface and paddling like buggery underneath. So my spirit communication and working as a medium and working with that energy has helped me deal with a higher vibrational energy. And I communicate with my guides and my spiritual team to help find who I am. Now, there will be certain people that will watch this and go, what a load of rubbish all of this is. And I'm okay with that. I'm not going to take that personally, but this is about a coping strategy. So whatever you put, labels you put on it, that's absolutely fine. It works for me. I'm never going to sit here with a video on here and saying, I know better about your life than you do. The whole idea behind this is to just get on here and talk in the hope that it reaches somebody who just goes, that, well, I think different. My diverse thoughts, my masking, my hypersensitivity, whatever it is, I'm not on my own. And this is what I keep driving at. So it's got on here, and I scripted this bit through because I wanted to get this across. Speak directly to the person that's masking. So if one of you have got through to this part, thank you for watching, because it's took a lot. It's took a month for me to get on here and do what I do, because you say the feedback from live from people that don't know you, you know, you're obsessing over this ADHD business. You're getting really worked up and you're getting really stressed about it. And, you know, it's time to move on with it. And I can show you this and show you that. But they're not living my life. They're not living my everyday existence. So what I say to people is, if you're drawn to me, is I want to know how you deal with it. I want to know your strategies. And what I do is, when I get feedback from anything, is I adapt it into my own way of thinking. But that's taking ownership of it. And that's not always easy. So invite them to explore who they are without the need to perform or protect. Right. So that for me is quite simply, just be yourself. And if you're not sure who you are, work your way through what you do most consistently, what works for you. So without putting on a performance, without putting on any pretense, when are you at your most comfortable? For me, when I'm at my most comfortable is when I'm in my house, surrounded by my things and in control of my environment. Where I start to get a little bit itchy and feel the need to perform is when I come into other people's energies and other people's consciousness. Then I feel very uncomfortable. So then I have to strategize how I'm going to cope with that. So if you're out there hiding your sensitivity, still pretending to be fine when you're anything but, please know this, and this is my closing statement: you're not broken. You're just wired differently, right? You are deeply human and empathic, and you deserve to be the full unmasked version of yourself. If any of this has resonated with you, right, please comment below. Right, my love and light goes out to you all. I'm not going to make any false promises. I will get back on at some point and do some card readings and the rest of it. But I just want to say thank you for following me along my very diverse journey. So Rick Paul, spiritual medium, thought therapist, neurospicy, whatever other label I come up with in the meantime. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you on the next one.